Today we're discussing job offer evaluation and salary negotiation. My name is Raven Ortolan and I am a Senior Career Advisor in the John P. Fahey Career Center. Know that whether you're on campus or a distance student, our services are free and available for use. Of course, you can meet with us in person in Omaha, Nebraska, but if you're a distance student, we are also welcome to meet with you via phone or via Zoom. Additionally, you are able to use our services for free even after you graduate. So if you're an alumni looking to have help with offer evaluation and salary negotiation, you're still welcome to schedule an appointment with us and ask us your questions. So if there's anything in this presentation that you want to delve into deeper, that'd be a great reason to connect with the Career Center. We're going to cover the basics here, but we won't dive too deep. Step 1, considering offer evaluation. Let's discuss briefly some of the fundamentals. Before you dive into the job offer evaluation and looking at compensation, just remind yourself, is this a job that I want? We want to affirm that not only are the tasks something that we want to do, but that we're comfortable with the supervisor and the organization. Oftentimes, communication is a great way to test this out during the evaluation phase. If you have questions that are going to hamper your ability to make a good evaluation of the different offers you have available to you, ask for additional information when it's needed, because if the organization is not going to be forthcoming with information, that's potentially a good sign that they're not going to be a good fit going forward. So definitely utilize or ask your questions and practice communication throughout this process, both in the evaluation and in negotiations. Keep in mind, too, that they want you. They offered you a job. This can be helpful, especially during the salary negotiation piece, which can be uncomfortable for some of us. But if you keep in mind that they want you, it can make that process a lot easier. Regardless of whether you're doing the job or offer evaluation, or if you're doing the negotiation, we want to be reasonable and well-informed. Researching what other people are making in this area can be a great way to do that, and I have some slides on that later on that I'll share. However, if we're going to be asking for a salary that's much higher than we would the industry average is asking, or if we're going to be asking for benefits that are typically unseen in that area, it's going to be difficult for us to have a good start off on a good foot with that organization. And the last piece, and this is more specific to offer evaluation, consider the whole job offer. So of course salary is going to be important, but look at the comprehensive package, and a lot of that will be total compensation. Now, if you're uncertain what total compensation is, let's cover that briefly. The basics of total compensation would be that in addition to the salary, you're also looking at the insurance, what it covers, whether or how much you have paid time off, looking at the retirement plans, the life and disability insurance options, whether they have employee assistance programs, and also the access to flexible spending accounts. So these are the basics, but there's even other pieces that we can consider, like tuition reimbursement, perhaps a wellness program or a fitness center, whether there's free access to parking, what childcare options there are, whether technologies come with the position, whether there's on-campus or on-site food and how much that costs, the ability to flex your time, especially during holidays or during summer months, the ability to travel, and then also if there are local bonuses from your area, perhaps season tickets or tickets to something like the zoo in your area. So keep in mind that total compensation is a lot more than just the salary. And so we're going to consider this both when we're doing job offer evaluations and then when we're negotiating. If we're not negotiating salary, often we can negotiate these other areas as well. So let's first look at salary, since this is going to be a really key piece for us to research and to have a sound understanding of what people make in our field. So there's a couple different places that you can go to, including salary.com and Glassdoor.com. Glassdoor.com also lets you do a survey about your own skills, so to see how much experience you have, and it will give you an estimated survey based on your own experiences. You can look for current openings to see how much of those are being offered for if they're posting. And then also there's information from the government here. So I have a link. I'm going to show you what that looks like on the website. Here I had used a sample, so I looked for health educators, but if you are looking for a role other than health educators, you could search that here. This is the occupational employment statistics. It's fed by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and so the information you get here is from people in existing occupations, and it'll give you a really good idea for different salary ranges and different industries within that area. So looking at and keeping in mind health educators, We can see the industries with the highest level of employment in this occupation. So for example, general medical and surgical hospitals are the top employers of health educators. But we can also see industries with higher concentration of employments in this occupation, top paying industries, and they're going to give us annual mean wages. Now if I scroll down, I can see employment by state. I can see quotient of health educators, annual mean wage of health educators. I'm going to scroll down. I think here this can be especially helpful. We have annual mean wage of health educators by area. And you can see that if I scroll over something, a box will show up, and it gives you an idea of the percentile of wages, and it gives you the annual and the hourly for that area. So this can be a helpful tool to use as well. So having done some research and getting an idea what the salary is for people within that area or within the area that you're planning to work, you're going to be set up for success in the following areas. And here, this was just a sample of some of those pages we looked at from the following slide. And really what you're doing is, in addition to getting a sense for what the average salaries are for people in the profession you're seeking, you also want to make a budget. In here, when you have a budget, this is just a sample of what a personal budget worksheet could look like. You can find much more advanced or in-depth budgets, both in apps or on different websites, but it would absolutely be advisable to make a budget in advance of even going into the job search process, because you can get a sense for what you want as that base takeaway, not just what you need for a salary, but what you want your takeaway pay to be on based on your needs. And this could be potentially you're doing budgets for different areas. Like if I work in option A, which perhaps that's the Omaha area, this is what my budget will be. But if I'm in California, this is what my budget's going to be, to really get a sense of what your bottom line is. And you're going to want that as you go into the evaluation piece. Now moving forward, talking about health insurance, this is just going to cover the basics here, but in essence, employers are going to provide and pay for a portion of your health insurance so that you have a lower monthly premium. So you're still going to be paying money, but the employer is going to be paying some portion of it. Of course, when you are actually going in and have an injury or going to get some sort of health care, you're going to be paying a monthly premium, but you're also going to be paying co-pays or additional charges until you have a deductible reached. And the deductible will change based on the type of plan you have. Now, the most common types of plans are either preferred provide organizations, a PPO, or a health maintenance organization, or an HMO. PPO being the most popular type of health insurance plan. But there's a number and variety of plans available, and there are different insurance company options, and there's also breadth of coverage to consider. All of this should be in your benefits package when you ask for it. So at the time that you are offered a position, you should be asking to look at the benefits before you make a decision so that you can see all of this information. So some of the questions that you would be asking beyond it, whether there is health insurance, but then knowing what's covered. Typically health would be covered if you have health insurance. Vision and dental, not always, or perhaps you're going to have to put in extra money in order to have those be covered. But also we probably are asking questions about whether spouses or dependents can be covered. We're looking at what insurance companies are available to choose from, and alongside that, we're looking at what hospitals or areas we want to be covered in our network, and sometimes that'll change depending on the plan. And then talking about plan, we want to know what it is. PPO typically are going to be easier for employees to buy into. They're a little bit cheaper. The deductibles are going to be easier to manage. Often you'll have a choice to purchase or buy into a high deductible plan or low deductible plan, depending on how you assess your health and what you're hoping to achieve going forward. Again, just to reiterate, all of this information should be in your benefits package. So step one, if you get a job offer, would be not to accept that offer immediately. Even if you're really excited about it, you would want to review the benefits package first. Typical language that you could use would be something like, I'm really interested in the offer, thank you so much. I'd love to look over the benefits package and look at the offer more concretely so that I can make a final decision. Can I get back to you within the week? Even if you get back to them the next day after evaluating, that's okay, but I would spend some time, let them send you the benefits package, look over this, and see if you have any questions, because again, remember, communication is key during this stage. All right, so we are talking about health insurance. The other piece we want to keep in mind is retirement plan overviews. You're going to put money into a retirement plan, and typically that includes a mix of stocks and mutual funds that are managed by an investment firm. and that's going to be grow in value, and you can tap into it when you retire. And this is going to transfer over from typically from job to job. So even if you end up shifting organizations, that retirement plan should follow you. Now, most employers are going to offer plans called defined contribution plans. For for-profit organizations, we would think of this as a 401k. For example, Creighton would be an example of a nonprofit organization, so here we have a 403b. Now, there are going to be some employer differences, and so the contribution timeline could be different when you're going to be able to contribute money. The company, so it might be that you have to be at the organization for a certain amount of time before you can contribute. The company matching option may not match at all, but they may match, but then at what percentage they match could be different. And then when they match, how long you've worked for could change. There's going to be vesting timelines to consider. And we also want to consider the investment firm options. And so unsurprisingly, then, these are the questions that we're going to be asking. When you are eligible to contribute, is there a company match? And if so, what percentage? Is there a vesting schedule? And if there is, what is that vesting schedule? And then what investment firms can you choose from? And that would be if you're savvy enough to navigate and to know where you would like to invest. That's sometimes an option you can have, is to personalize your retirement plan. Some places aren't going to allow you to. They're going to already have identified the firms that are going to contribute to that retirement plan. Okay, so keeping some of these basics in mind, let's do a sample job offer comparison. All right, here, so we have two offers, offer A and offer B, and the base salary on the forefront is that offer B has a higher salary by $5,000. But because we're going to be savvy consumers, we're going to ask for the benefits package, and we're going to look deeper. Now, it looks like Health Insurance One, the plan that we're choosing, it's going to be about $1,500 that we're taking out per year for that health insurance plan. Now, Health Insurance Offer B, we don't know if it's for the same one or if they only offered plans that were more expensive. So there we're looking to spend about $2,300 for health insurance. Parking at Offer A is free, but parking at Offer B is going to cost about $500. Both are going to let us put in money into our 401k, and so we're going to be putting in 6% our individual contribution, so that's $3,600 for Offer A, $3,900 for Offer B. Fantastic. That's going to go back to us in the end. But then Offer A is also letting the employer match at 3%, so they're putting in $1,800. And we also have undisclosed perks at Offer A, so perhaps it's childcare, perhaps it's going to be travel stipend, mileage reimbursement, tuition reimbursement. We don't know, but we're going to have some perks at Offer A. And then, of course, considering the taxes at 24%, those are taken out. So our base pay then, or total compensation that we're getting from those offers, would be $44,000 for Offer A and $42,000 for Offer B. So now we know that Offer A is going to be taking home a little bit more money. But does that mean that we're automatically going to go with Offer A? Not necessarily, right? If we love the environment at Offer B, perhaps that's still going to be a better fit even though they're paying less. Or perhaps this is going to be fodder for a salary negotiation because we want to be at Offer B, but we're going to let them know that after reviewing the total compensation, Offer A was higher, and so we're asking perhaps not to raise the salary. We might be asking them to negotiate the salary, but perhaps we're going to negotiate the perks or negotiate something else within Offer B to make that total compensation more equal or more to where we want that. Okay. Keeping this in mind then, going on, talking about salary negotiation. So first things first, considering why or when to negotiate. So some reasons to negotiate might be that you've evaluated that your skills and experience in education are more than basic requirements for that position. So you already know that you're exceeding them, and so that salary was perhaps reflecting someone without experience, and since you're bringing more to the table, that would be a reason to negotiate. It also could be that the pay range is less than an industry average. So if you've done your research and you know what people typically make, and if this place isn't up to those standards, that would also be a reason to negotiate. It could be that the cost of living is higher and the salary doesn't reflect that. So if you're moving to an area where there's going to be a high cost of living, certainly this could be something to consider if the salary is more for a place like Omaha and you're trying to live in California. Or, as thinking about the previous job offer evaluation slide, maybe you've received multiple offers with similar benefits, and this is why you're choosing to negotiate. So those are reasons why. As far as when, the best time is to negotiate is typically after the employer has already made the offer. You don't want to be the first person to bring up salary. Certainly wouldn't want to bring it up in a first round interview. You would wait until either the employer brings it up or until the offer has been made. Sometimes you'll be asked on an application to list what your desired salary is. When you're able, write open or negotiable and don't give them a specific dollar amount. But if they do force your hand and the application only allows you to put in an amount of money for a salary, I would go back to your research or perhaps to that Glassdoor.com salary where you've counted for your experience and put a reasonable amount of money that you would expect to receive as a salary for that position. And then as far as negotiating, if you're able to negotiate in person, that's excellent. I think that's often unrealistic, just given that oftentimes we're looking for jobs that are not in our home area. And so often these conversations will be open over the phone. But again, we want to indicate a range of salary that's based off our knowledge of the field. And I have some examples for what that could look like. Typically, that range is about $5,000. Some language here. Based on the industry average and my level of experience and education, I am seeking between $60,000 and $65,000. Or, I'm aware that the typical range for this kind of position is $60,000 to $65,000, and I'd like to be at the higher end of that range if possible. By giving them a range, we would hope that the lower end of that range is something that you are comfortable with and that would be an acceptable salary for you. If you're putting something at the bottom end of that range that would not meet your needs, then you're going to be setting yourself up for a disadvantage because it's very possible that the company may take you at the lower end of that range if you give them that $5,000 range. But keeping this in mind, some tips on how to negotiate salary. We've already talked about letting the employer go first. If the salary is less than expected, point then to your research to demonstrate that either that this is not the industry standard or this isn't this doesn't make enough money for the location that you're in, or this doesn't account for your experience. But of course, always emphasize your interest in the position and express that you're eager to find a compromise. So even though we're in this place where we're probably having an uncomfortable conversation for some of us about salary negotiation, it's really important that we demonstrate that we really want this position and that we are just trying to get ourselves off to a good first start so that when we start this position, we're going to be happy because that's going to improve us as an employee going forward. Sometimes salary can't be negotiated. We'll talk about that in the next slide about some employers that cannot negotiate. So if salary is not on the table, oftentimes there's other variables that we can consider, like a signing bonus or a relocation stipend. Oftentimes the retirement plan, like the match amount or the contribution or vesting timeline, can be negotiated. But perhaps it's vacation or sick days or tuition reimbursement or loan repayment. So be open. Again, look at those benefits packages, identify spaces before you even go into the negotiation conversation that you would be interested in negotiating if salary doesn't pan out. And then keep conversation reasonable and honest. So understand the employer's situation and respect what they're saying. If they say they can't negotiate that, then that means they can't negotiate that. You don't want to get greedy or frustrated with the employer because, I mean, certainly that's a great way to hurt the relationship before you even start working, especially if you're going to accept that position regardless. You don't want to get frustrated with the employer. And be cautious of leveraging other offers. So thinking about that job offer evaluation, it's okay to say, it's wise to say that you have other offers and use that as a leveraging tool, but I would always frame that with reminding them that the offer that you're currently negotiating is the one that you prefer. It's a first choice. You want this to be the place where you start working, but you're just giving them reference that you've had other offers and you're trying to make this offer as exciting from a financial standpoint as the other because the environment is already a place that you want to work. Otherwise, they might, if they don't get an impression that you really want to work with this company, if they think you're only in it for the money and that you're not really buying into the organization, they may renege on that offer they made to you. Keeping in mind some additional salary negotiation tips, many employers expect candidates to negotiate, and that's a great thing to keep in mind, is that this is not something new, this is not something that is rare. Employers expect candidates to negotiate. It's a sign that you have business savvy, that you're demonstrating leadership skills. So negotiating salary, although sometimes it feels uncomfortable, it's something the employers are used to. It's something they expect. Also, employers rarely negotiate beyond 5 to 10% of the original offer. So if the offer they're giving you is much lower than you would be able to live off of in the area that you're applying to, or if it's much below what the industry standard is, it may be that this is not going to meet your standards. It might not be worth negotiating because they rarely are going to go beyond that 5 to 10%. And then keeping in mind, we referred to this, but that some employers cannot negotiate. And so typically some examples would be federal, state, and local government positions, public schools, social service agencies, and then certain union positions. But then just keep in mind that they want to hire you. They offered you the job. They think that you would be a good fit. So salary negotiation is just making sure that you're going to start off this position happily and that you feel confident that you're being compensated fairly for your work. Last step, once you've negotiated the salary and the benefits, is either to accept the offer, to ask time to consider, or to decline the offer. Now, if you accept the offer, you want to get that offer in writing, including the start date, that salary, employment location, and details of the benefits package. You want to stop searching at that point. Professionally, if you're going to accept an offer, you cannot still be searching for other offers. And indeed, you even want to contact other active applications and remove yourself from consideration. That would be the most professional step to take. If you're not accepting, you might ask for time to consider. And usually 1 to 2 weeks is an acceptable extension. And so again, that could be something like, thank you so much for the offer. I'd like to confer with my family, and or maybe I would like to review the package a little more thoroughly. Could I have a week to get back to you? Or 2 weeks to get back to you? I would usually, if 2 weeks is not, if they might say that we're hoping to make a decision sooner, know that if you're still going to hold fast by your deadline, if you wanted more time, they could, at any of that point in that week or 2 weeks, remove their offer. So it's a delicate balance. Usually it's fine, but do try to feel them out. If they're getting wary when you ask for time to extension, try to make that decision more quickly. And of course, you could also decline the offer. If you choose to do that, communicate your decision as soon as possible. Don't leave them hanging, and follow up with a professional letter expressing your appreciation for the offer. They're probably going to be your colleagues if they're working in the same space that you're applying for. You very well may encounter them in the future, and so keeping that relationship as professional as possible. And lastly, just remember your resources. If you're a current student, or even if you're an alumni, you can reach out to faculty that you knew, clinical instructors, if those are applicable. Reach out to Creighton's network. We have a lot of alumni all over the United States that can aid and assist you in either giving you insight into an organization or giving you suggestions for how to thrive in a certain location. Utilize professional organizations for the area that you're in. If you go to the National Association site for a professional organization, often they will have tips on salary negotiation or professionalism or even job searching. So know that those professional organization websites are a great place to go, and even if you're not a member, usually you can access a lot of their information. And of course, you can use the Creighton Career Center website. We have a lot of great resources for you to use if you click on the Students tab. So for example, today we were talking about interviewing and negotiating, and you can see here that we have a lot of different information that we've discussed, in addition to some videos that you can watch as well. And that covers our presentation today. Thank you for joining me. Again, my name is Raven Ortolan, and I work in the John P. Fahey Career Center. If you'd like to make an appointment, you can do so either through Handshake or by calling the number listed on the presentation slide. If you have any emails for me, you can email me at ravenortolan@creighton.edu, or you can email our general office at careercenter@creighton.edu. Again, thank you, and I hope you have an excellent day.